Hello and welcome to Onto the Ball. I'm your host Scott Nichol and I'm joined this week by my fellow Red James O.B. O'Brien to get an instant match reaction on Rangers 1, Liverpool 7. That's right, you heard it right, Liverpool 7. Not going to get carried away, it is only Rangers, and I think that's Rangers out of the Champions League and maybe out of Europe altogether now, just like Celtic, so we're not going to get too carried away. Before we get right into it, I'm going to remember to say please like and subscribe. It doesn't mean much to you, but it means everything to us. It doesn't cost you anything. We're sound. We hope you think we're sound. We'll think you're sound if you subscribe. So hit that button. OB, how are you after that?
Mate, I'm good. I'm good. I mean, it's really interesting, but once we got going, we were relentless. We're always going to be levels above them, and I know that's going to anger some Rangers fans and some people who want to be anti-Liverpool. But at the end of the day, we know a level, and it was good to see some of the players with smiles on their faces, playing insightful balls, and then just the subs. And when we brought the subs on, it just looked like we were taking things to another level again. So really, really happy. Everybody seemed to get the moment, get the goal who needed one. I thought it was nice to see Elliott score at the end after the goal check. Nunes obviously getting the goal, and Firmino continuing his great form. So really, really positive.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like I just said at the start there, it's important not to get carried away. But when you win 7-1 away in Europe, I knew they would score. I said to my mate today, Rangers will score. But after what we've went through the start of this season, why not get carried away? I think we deserve it. But I text you at half time. I won't say what I say because it's an expletive, and I meant it. I meant every word of it. We're honking. We're honking. I'm not going to get carried away because we enjoyed beating them 2-0 during the week last week. Did it mean anything on Sunday against Arsenal? No, it didn't. I think one of the important things to say is that obviously we rested quite a lot today. So we'll obviously have one eye on Sunday against Man City. And a habit is any habit. Let's make it a winning habit. If we could carry something from that game into Man City, what would it be apart from the obvious, which would be Salah's hat trick in 6 minutes?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's confidence, and I think it's players who then start to work out with a little bit more space against a Rangers team than they'll have against City on Sunday, without any doubt. I think it's confidence, and I think it's the ability to go, well, we can do this. We are good as a team. We've got the ability as a team. Are we going to play the same formation? Are we going to play the same players? The answer is probably no in both cases. And are we going to have as much time in the ball? Absolutely not. But ultimately, football is heavily about confidence, and a lot of them players would have took some confidence from that game today. I did post on Facebook that it felt like it was a bit of a training exercise. Once again, just like last week, and it is ultimately, but it's going to lead us to a really, really good place because that's where games are won and lost. It's on the training field, and that did feel like a training exercise before the main event on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. When you talk about confidence, how realistic is it that Joe Gomez can take his performance tonight, carry it on hopefully on Sunday, and then start saying, hang on a minute, Trent Arnold has got a rival for right back, and it's me. I might be a centre back by trade, but I can be just as good at right back. And could he even take Alexander Arnold's place? Because he was pretty good tonight, and obviously getting that assist was vintage Trent Arnold. But then Gomez brings the solidity at the back. We hope.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we've both touched on this before, and for a few years now, we've always believed that Gomez's best position may very well be right back. He's big, he's powerful, he's very, very quick. He just needs to read the game at points where we're better, but his pace gets him out of jail. It's the one thing Alexander Arnold hasn't got is lightning pace. And Gomez has got that, and that really works against these fast wingers who are going to have a go at you. You even see Kent try tonight, and he's got a bit about him. He's got a bit of pace. Obviously, an ex-Liverpool player, and I thought Gomez dealt with him really well. I think Gomez looked confident. I don't think he's a finished article at right back, but I think a bit of a run in the team. If Trent Alexander-Arnold's out for a little while, I might help him. And I think he'll be up there and thereabouts, and a real option for us, particularly in games away from home, or particularly again in games where we think it's going to be tight and we don't want to overcommit. I think Gomez is a solid option, and will continue to develop in that role. I really believe that.
I think the best thing about it is it's not just about Gomez and his career. Obviously, when he barely got a sniff last season, it was Matip or Konate partnering Van Dijk. There was rumours he'd go to Rangers with Steven Gerrard, but we've held on to him. So it's not just about getting him in and maybe at right back. It's we need him at right back because Trent's having an awful time. Obviously, he's picked up the injury now, so the gate's open for Gomez. We can only hope that he really nails it down and gives Jurgen something to think about.
Yeah.
But really, really delighted with Konate coming back as well. Hopefully that's him fully over his injury. We'll see him in a run of games, even though I'm a massive Matip fan. I wouldn't say that anything has been Matip's fault, but Konate coming back, it can only boost us, surely.
Yeah, absolutely. What did you think of Tsimikas' performance tonight, Scott? Were you a little bit concerned about the fact that he looked like he was completely outpaced at points? He looked like he wanted to make the foul every time, and he just didn't look comfortable. And I know. What's his name? Is it Fashion? What's the Rangers guy's name?
Yeah, Fashion something, isn't it?
Yeah, Takaro or something. And he's got a lot of pace, and it really seemed to scare him. Now I'm wondering if Robertson doesn't play Sunday, that could potentially be a point of weakness as well. And it just bothered me a little bit. I think Tsimikas is solid. I think he's a good player, but he looked well off it against real pace tonight, and that was a little bit of a concern. Did you think the same?
Yeah, obviously, I'm sure everyone is. I'm a big Tsimikas fan. And as I said in a couple of streams ago, I weren't happy with Klopp taking him off for James Milner against, who was it? There was someone I wasn't happy. I thought he's waited. Yeah. He's a popular member of the squad. He's waited, bided his time. Now he's got a chance. You don't be taking him off for James Milner. Give him the 90 minutes, build his own confidence. But I think the best thing to say is that I was happy when Robertson came on tonight. Not just because he's back from injury, but Robertson, the level was up when you seen Robertson. And that's not that Tsimikas has put a foot wrong. I don't want it to come across like I'm criticising him. Because if you think of the problems we've had the last couple of games, we never talk about the left-hand side. That might be attributable to Van Dijk being on the left-hand side. Maybe he helps Tsimikas, but all the focus has been on the right-hand side with Trent Arnold, and Tsimikas has been going about his business quietly. He loves to get forward, just like Robertson. But yeah, fingers crossed Robertson is over his own injury, and that's him cemented his place in the starting lineup on Sunday, or at the very least to get 60 to 70 minutes and see where we are in terms of result by the time he guesses out, maybe.
No, I agree. I mean, the other two positives from tonight were I thought Elliott and Carvalho both played well. Yeah. They both showed they've got a bit of something about them, and I think that they are our best young players, or our best new batch of young players, and giving them time as a game like that and an atmosphere like that where they've started the game with experienced players around them can only be a positive for them, and it will give them the confidence to go, look, I can do this. And it's just that little bit of extra experience in a game that obviously worked out for us anyway, and I think that was really positive as well.
Yeah, I think Carvalho, especially after the game, what was the last game? What was the game before Arsenal? It was Brighton. A game, Brighton. Carvalho started on the left-hand side, didn't he, against Brighton? Yeah. Come off at half-time for Diaz, and people were quite critical of him starting, saying that Diaz should have started and got at least 60 minutes after the international break. So yeah, I was pleased for Carvalho. I thought he was really bright on that left-hand side today. And it's just showing that he can play in the front three, he can play in the midfield three. But again, I don't want to get carried away. It was only Rangers. But, you know, it's like you just said, it's about boosting everyone's confidence. Carvalho, Elliott, definitely. And then obviously we get on to Nunes. there was a few moments again where you're thinking he just needs to settle down, calm down. But I wish he was on the pitch for the whole 90 minutes. I'd have loved for him to get 2 or 3 goals himself, but obviously delighted with Salah coming on in his place and getting a hat-trick. But Nunes, again, that's 2 starts, 2 goals. That's what you buy strikers for. Are you happy with his all-round performance, or are you a little bit worried and maybe the goal has masked a little bit of a below-par performance against below-par opposition?
I think his movement's always been good. I've always been happy with his movement. Some of his touches seem like he's a little bit too eager. He's almost trying to do things too fast. I think that will come in time as he settles down. I thought his finish was like, and obviously Firmino's little touch was an amazing touch, but the finish itself was so calm.
Yeah.
And it was like, get this guy in front of goal in the right moments and get him calmed down, and he's going to finish him like it's nothing. And the lad in goal for Rangers tonight. He's a decent keeper. He's not a mug, and he just sat him down and just placed it in, and that was a really good finish. I actually think that having Salah on and Salah getting a few goals is probably more important for Liverpool at this moment in time.
Yeah.
Salah needed it more than Nunes. Nunes has been scoring, and I think Nunes is on. I think he's played 10 games for us now. He's on 4 goals. That's not a terrible return.
It's not 10 starts though, is it?
No.
How many starts is it?
I don't know how many starts it is.
It's not
now you're asking me to be a stato.
I'll check it while you're talking, because I was looking.
Yeah, absolutely. But with Salah, I think Salah getting 3 goals, and I think I heard them say it was the fastest ever Champions League hat trick. What was it, 6 minutes?
Yeah, six and a half minutes. I think.
That'll give him no end of confidence. And the finishes were really, really good as well. They were vintage Salah, and he just looked so calm. And it was like the whole team just went, "We're okay. We can play our football. We haven't got the pressure on us of the scoreline." And it just flowed. It just flowed. That last 20, 25 minutes, we were magnificent. And I know that was against a team that had their main defender went off, didn't he? Goldstrom or whatever. Was it Goldstrom? Connor
Goldson, is it?
Yeah, Goldson, yeah. And he went off, and I thought we did pull them apart a bit more after that.
Yeah.
But I think their legs had gone. Their legs had gone. They spent so much time running around in the first half, and trying to keep that momentum going. They were always going to go, and I think that's what happens against the elite teams, and we are an elite team. Is that these teams can stick? Yeah, absolutely. These teams can stick with us for 55, 60 minutes, and then they just go. They just go. The legs go. The concentration goes. The technique starts to desert them because they're tired, and you just see that. You saw that today. It was just the distances and the fact that we just seemed to up our game as they were dipping just made it look even easier than it probably we both expected, really.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously their crowd give them an early lift. It sounded quite raucous in there. I just checked the stats, and I'm not saying Erling Haaland has got anything to worry about, but he's got 4 goals in 5 starts. So
yeah,
he's got a long way to go to catch Erling, but that's encouraging.
It is, and it's deceptive because there was obviously that point where he got sent off, and we talked about in the last podcast. That point where he got sent off, and it changed. It ruined the momentum, and he caused that himself. He put a little bit of pressure on himself, but obviously, I mean, at the end of the day, 5 starts, 4 goals is not a bad return. Well, if in normal terms, we used to look for good strikers who scored 1 and 2, didn't they? And that was always a 1 and 2 striker. 20 goals a season striker is basically a 1 and 2. And that's what people always look for. That's what people look for in strikers. Now, the bar's been raised, certainly this season at the start by Haaland. Whether he continues, that remains to be seen. People like Salah scoring, I think it was 32 goals in the season and breaking the record a few years back. It raises your expectations. And then, it's crazy when you think of it. But when teams have someone who scores like 16, 17 goals and they're really happy with it, and we have someone like Salah scoring 24 goals ago, he had a first season. Yeah. That's ridiculous. It just shows where he's got to. And it just shows the expectation on these guys to score loads and loads and loads of goals nowadays. And ultimately, 1 and 2 is a good performance. And scoring 4 and 5 starts is particularly good, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. Again, we said in a couple of streams ago that it was time for Jurgen just to play Nunes now. I personally want to see him in 5 games in a row starting. He's started 3 now. He's got 2 goals. He's yet to finish a game, I think. Is that a bit of a worry, or do you think Jurgen's still trying to bed him in a bit?
I think it'll be a little bit of protection around his body. I mean, we all know that that Jurgen's very demanding early on when players come in and they've got to do a lot more running. I think Thiago touched on it in the summer when he talked about he was taught he never realised he had to run so much until he joined Liverpool, and that's an experienced footballer. I think they'll be watching Nunes' body. They've got all the sports science behind it, and they'll be making sure that he's not exhausted at any point. And if you feel like he's getting exhausted, get him off the pitch. There's nothing wrong with winning a game and taking him off, And I think it's good management, and I'm hoping that we'll see the impact of that later on in the season. I really do.
Yeah. Uruguay are going to the World Cup, aren't they?
Yeah, I think they're in the World Cup. Yeah, they are.
Bobby Firmino. I mean, we said it on the last stream as well. He's the most informed striker. How the hell does Jurgen leave him out on Sunday? Another 2 goals tonight. Obviously, Nunes has scored. Salah's just got a hat-trick. I mean, when you think about it, Salah's got to start. Nunes has got to start. Bobby's got to start. Jota's done nothing wrong. Are we gonna? Is there any chance we're going 4-2-4 on Sunday?
We could do. I really believe that if Diaz was fit, we would. Now, looking at what we've done, I think the concern may be that there's nothing to come off the bench, so there's no option, and that might temper him a little bit. He'll maybe want somebody with an impact player to come off the bench. I mean, the thing is, right? If he plays 3 up front, Scott, what's your front 3? Because that's a really difficult question. I don't know what the answer is, and I don't know if Klopp's in a position to be able to leave one of them out at this point in time, given that he'll knock the confidence whoever doesn't start in that game, because everybody will know that's the game that they want to start if they're considered to be in the starting 11. And if there's 4 of them, is he gonna shape his tactics and shape his formation around? I need to play all 4 of these guys and have all 4 of these guys on the pitch.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, it's obviously it's only Wednesday night now, but I can't wait to see the team Sunday night already. But surely we would be crazy to go 4-2-4 against Man City. If ever there was a time in our Liverpool supporting lives in the last 5 years, I'm not saying we go 2 banks of 4, 4-4-2 and keep everything tight. I don't think that is us under Jurgen Klopp, and I don't think it ever will be, but it would be suicide surely to go 4-4-2. Surely he's got to be something a bit more reserved, a bit more pragmatic.
He done it a few years ago at the Etihad.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
And he went 4-2-4, and we remember we started the game like an absolute. I mean, and we didn't score. We started really, really well. Started the game really strong, and we didn't score. And I think they scored, and then I think we equalised, if I remember rightly.
What was the score in that one? Was it 1-1? Yeah,
it was 1-1. Yeah, and I think it took them by surprise, and it took us by surprise. I remember being shocked that he was trying to play 4 attackers. I don't know. I think if it was me, I think you've got to play Firmino. The one who'll probably lose out will. I don't know.
I've put you on the spot now, haven't I?
Yeah, I mean, maybe Nunes misses out.
Nunes, yeah. Like I say, you can't drop Bobby at the minute. Yeah, no. It was one each. November 2020, so nearly 2 years ago. Salah, Firmino, Jota, and Mane, with Wijnaldum and Henderson holding.
Yeah, I mean, the only benefit there is, I think that's a lot of legs in midfield. Henderson a couple of years ago covered a lot more distance, as did. We all know that Gini covered ridiculous distances in his game, and he was so clever in what he did. So I mean, do we have two players in that level of form? Could Thiago cover them sort of distances? I'm not sure against City. It worked for the first half against Arsenal. I thought we ran out of legs a little bit in the second half. So I think we've just got to be very, very careful.
I think we'd need a peak Fabinho surely to pull that off.
Yeah,
and he's struggling so much this season that we need him to pull his act together.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing he could do, he could play Bobby in midfield as an attacker, but I don't think that's Bobby's role anymore. I know when he first came in from Germany, he was basically an attacking midfielder. We've made him into a forward. I don't think in midfield. I don't think he'd bring us a lot. I don't think he'd give us enough cover. He might occupy Rodri for parts of the game, and that might be a route that he goes down. But I'd be surprised if we don't go 4-3-3.
Mm-hmm. What we've got to remember is we're at home, so we've got to be picking a side that Man City are worried about. Whether that means 4-2-4, that'll be up to Big Jurgen, and I'm sure he'll do the right thing. Well, we hope he does. But with us conceding first in every game, up against Man City, up against Erling Haaland, on paper, this is going to be brutal.
It is, but you know what I'm going to say. I think we're going to win the football game. I called it. I keep calling it. I think we're going to win the football game. I think the atmosphere at Anfield will be absolutely electric. I think there'll be a real will of the players to perform in that sort of environment. I think there's a fair few newish City players who will be slightly blown away by the atmosphere. I really believe that, and I think that they will find themselves hopefully in a position where they're suddenly going, this is new, we're not used to this. Guardiola will try and prepare them for it. He talks about the Anfield atmosphere all the time. He'll try and prepare his team for it. I think it will be difficult for Liverpool to win the game, but I really think we'll play to our potential. And I've got this feeling we're going to win 2-1, Scott. And I'm calling it now. And I'm going to have to go to the bookies and put a bet on, aren't I?
Do it, mate. And I hope you win, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think it'll play in Pep's mind a little bit? Obviously, we've been their direct rivals for, 4-5 years now, maybe? And do you think he will think it's still going to be a massive competition on Sunday? He'll take nothing for granted, or do you think he'll be rubbing his hands together thinking Liverpool are in the mud and maybe try to spring a surprise himself with a bit of change of formation and really stick the knife in on us?
I don't know, because I always think we're in Guardiola's head a little bit, and the reason I think that is the all or nothing that was a Man City one. I actually watched bits of it, and I watched the bit where we played them in the Champions League when we knocked them out, and I remember him being really animated around Liverpool. I think we were in his head then, and we only finished fourth that season. We only qualified for the Champions League that season, but it's like we'd struck a blow on him, and he kind of knew what was coming. I think he will be very cautious. I think he'll try and settle the crowd down. I think his team will play a lot of passes. And I think that's what he'll want his team to do. And he'll want us to huff and puff and not quite fire. And then he'll try and pick us off for mistakes as the game progresses. I think that'll be his tactics. I just hope we catch them in that whirlwind of an early part of the game. And I think that will be our best bet of winning the game, really. What do you think?
I'm thinking let's not forget that we smashed them in the Community Shield less than 2 months ago. So Klopp might have a bit of a blueprint of what the team and how he wants to set up there. And it's at Anfield. And Travis, if he could join the stream, he would be laughing his head off again. But our season starts not Sunday, it started tonight. We are back from tonight, or I don't care if it's only Rangers. We've just smashed them 7-1. Confidence is high. We're getting players back from injury, even though there's a few out. But them few that are out might actually do us a favour. And I am going to say it's a 3-2 win. We're going to reverse Sunday's scoreline. Anfield crowd are going to get us over the line, and we'll win 3-2 this Sunday.
Perfect. Good stuff, mate. Love it.
That's a clean sweep then. We both think Liverpool are going to win then.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's end it there. I am actually on holiday for a week, so I'm going to be watching in Greece. But then when I get back, we'll get straight back on the podcast. Travis will be back, no doubt. He's a bit busy tonight. He couldn't join us. Not that he would want to listen about Liverpool winning 7-1 anyway. He probably
No
couldn't.
doubt.
He probably couldn't join us because he's in tears. So yeah, we'll catch you for the next one. Okay, guys, if you like any of the content you've watched, again, please remember to like and subscribe. James and I will see you with Travis in the next one. Have a good weekend. Obi, thanks a lot.
Cheers. Thanks, Scott.
Have a good weekend, mate. I'll speak soon.
And you. Cheers.
Cheers, bud.